Hey you, yes, I'm talking to you. You spend way too much time thinking and pondering on what that one person said about you or worrying what people are thinking about you. You've come to the right place. This video is for you. Today, I'm going to give you my unsolicited advice on why you should give less fucks about what people have to say. So let's get started. One thing before we get started, if you're not subscribed, go subscribe, go press that button, you'll come back and see more of me, and why wouldn't you want to see more of me? Now let's get started. I want to start off this video with a quote that I found on TikTok that I feel like really changed the game for me. So the quote goes, "Crazy how peaceful life becomes when you decide that you no longer have the energy to argue and you're okay with being misunderstood because people only understand from their level of perception." I have nothing else to say about that. That's just a perfect quote. Also, having control of your mental state and what's going on in your mind is extremely powerful, because why are you gonna let what some irrelevant person to your life is going to say just going to like destroy your mental health, like destroy everything that you worked so hard to get? Like, you don't need to give anyone the power to do that. And I think that there is great power in hearing what someone has to say and just, okay, do you have anything else to say? Is that it? Because like when it comes down to it, all people want is a reaction. So if they see you suffering, they see you unhappy from what they said, they're gonna think that they've won. Do you want someone to be winning the game of your life? I don't think so. I wouldn't want that. Don't, as much as you can, don't let it affect you, because it doesn't need to, because they're just projecting, they're just being unhappy people, and this is your life. You just gotta do whatever you want for you. Also, a big thing is remembering that a lot of the times it might not actually be personal. We are naturally like negative people. Like, have you ever heard someone come into your work, let's say, and just brag about everything amazing that happened to them? Like that, I feel like rarely happens. Like, I feel like we normally complain about what's happening in our lives or get upset and like about what's happening in our lives, and then we just complain to all of our coworkers. Like, everyone loves drama, everyone loves gossip. It's honestly kind of natural, so don't feel like it's super personal if someone's talking about you, if they say locker room gossip about you, because it's most likely that they're just complaining just for the sake of complaining, just to stir the pot for no other reason really than that. Also, a big thing is, I'm just grasping my boob. A big thing is remembering that they don't care as much as it seems. The person who's saying things, the person who's giving the opinions, they really don't care, because simply their world does not revolve around you. Unless you have a stalker and their world does revolve around you and they do literally obsess over you and care about you more than they care about themselves. Like, nobody really cares as much as they make it seem, because their world revolves around them. Their world does not revolve around you. Luckily their world doesn't revolve around you. That's way too much responsibility. It might seem like in the moment that something happens or somebody says something bad about you that your whole world is crashing down, but just remember, like, that's just your world. Their world is not crashing down, therefore your world should not be crashing down either, because it really doesn't matter like that much. A super easy catalyst to not letting anyone else's opinions dictate your life is to have a solid foundation of who you are. There is, to me, like, there's a lot of strength in knowing versus assuming. And when people are making judgments or telling you their opinions of you, those are all just assumption based, because no one knows you better than yourself. So everything else that anyone else is going to be saying is going to be an assumption, and assumptions most of the time aren't really that valid. Also, remembering that life is not forever, so don't spend your life living for others, because you want to spend it intentionally based on what you want to do with it and based on what you want, because in the end it's just going to be you. When it comes down to it, when everyone else in your family dies, it's just going to be you. So you don't want to die wishing you had done other things, but you're scared of what people have to say, scared of other people's opinions, because it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. It does not matter what they have to say, and you shouldn't let it completely dictate your life. A big thing also is that people who judge and make assumptions, have negative opinions on you, they are just unhappy people. Because have you ever met someone that's just like happy, just in every aspect, just like perfect of their life, and they're just going out just being just an absolute menace? Like, people that are happy don't actually do that, and there's a reason for that. It's because they don't feel the need to project their insecurities on people, project their anger on people, try to bring people down to the way that they're feeling. There's a reason that happy people don't do that. If you're dealing with someone who is just being an absolute terrible person to you, they're just unhappy. You heard that another quote. I have one more quote too coming, but this is another quote that hurt people. It's like, happy people aren't going to go out like hurting people's feelings and being mean for no reason and saying unhinged things. Like, people that are hurt, like deeply insecure, like unhappy with their lives, they're the types of people that go out. So don't mind them. Like, they are completely dealing with something that they need to figure out on their own, and it's just purely a projection of how they feel about their lives right now. Also, understanding that what's right for you isn't always right for somebody else. So most times someone else's opinion is based on how they feel about something or what they would do in that situation, and that isn't always how you feel or what you would do or what works best for the systems and beliefs that you have in your life. So remembering that it's not a one size fits all. What's going to work for somebody else and what they're going to verbalize to you is going to work for somebody else isn't always what's going to work for you. And when it comes down to it, you know what's best for you. So just go with what you feel and what you think is correct, and then I don't think anything bad could come out of that. Just know that when someone is making these judgments or when they're telling you their opinion, it's just easy for them. Like, it's easy to ponder on the negative and just gossip with people. It gives them something to talk about, you know what I mean? Like, they don't have anything else interesting going on in their lives that they need to talk about you. And it's also much easier to judge someone than it is to understand that person. So like, they're just not taking the time that is actually necessary to understand you, and that's their fault. Or like, maybe you don't even want them to understand you, which I think is fair also. So just know that they're taking the easy route. It's much easier to judge someone and make baseless claims and say unnecessary things than it is to take the time to actually understand. Just don't worry about what they say. It doesn't really matter what they say anyway. It's your life. A big thing also is when people make assumptions, when they say things about you, even when people give you advice, the opinions and what people have to say is more a reflection of them than it is for you, because these people have configured systems and beliefs that work for them, and they're speaking purely on those systems and beliefs, which could be completely different systems and beliefs than you have. Like, someone that's saying mean things to you, judging your lifestyle, could be Christian and you're not Christian, or they could be Jewish and you're not Jewish. So they're purely saying these things from a standpoint that works for them, which is fine for them, but it might not be fine for you. Like, you just have to take what everybody says with a grain of salt. Just because it works for them doesn't always mean it's going to work for you. A big thing is remembering that nobody really actually cares that much. Even if they do care, like, there's going to be something new that's going to come up that they're going to like have an opinion on, so it's not going to matter as much as what they cared about when they said something about you. This is a new thing, because it's not their life, it's not happening to them, so they're not going to really care that much about what's going on or what the drama is, more than just like a small segment of their life. Like, honestly, a marginal amount of their life they're going to care about what's happening to you, and most likely they're not going to remember it. Like, you might remember it for like the rest of the time. Like, if someone says something bad about you, like if someone like judges you and tells other people, like, you might remember that for the rest of your life, especially if you're a grudge holder. I'm a grudge holder, so I remember things. But other people just literally don't care as much as you think that they do, because it's not happening to them. It's not their life. It's not applicable to them. Like, it doesn't really matter, more than it is just like a locker room gossip that they just care about talking about things with their friends. So don't worry about it too much. It doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? Nothing really matters like that much, at least. What others think of you is none of your business. It is also not your responsibility to know or change how someone perceives you. Nobody knows the full story except for you. So if anyone is going to be making baseless assumptions, having just unhinged opinions of you, it's like if I were to sit down and give you 6,000 books and be like, tell me what's in every single one of them. You don't care what's in every single one of them. You don't want to take the time to know what's in every single one of them, and that's basically what it is, trying to digest the opinions of so many people all the time. You don't have to care, because it's a book or it's like a genre that you just don't care to explore. Like, it's a type of person you don't care to understand, you don't care to explore. Therefore, you don't need to even take their opinions into your consideration, because it's not something that you care about. You can't please everybody, because literally everybody has an opinion on something. Even if their opinion is that it's neutral, everybody has an opinion, and you can't possibly care about every single person's opinion, because it's simply too many opinions to care about at once. So don't worry about it. It's so natural to have an opinion. You have your opinions, I have my opinions. You can't possibly worry about all of them, and you can't know all of them. So just don't even, especially about the opinions of the people that you don't know and you don't care to know. I have another quote. I found a lot of quotes in preparation for this video. This is one that I really like. So it goes, "You can lie down for people to walk on you and they will still complain that you aren't flat enough." First of all, there are just too many people to please, and second of all, there's a big amount of people who are not going to be pleased with what you do, no matter how you do it, no matter how many times you do it, no matter like how many variations of it you do in order to get it right. Like, some people are just never going to be happy purely because it's a reflection of them just not being happy, just not of being a happy person. So I wouldn't sweat it, because in the end, the only person that it really matters that you're making happy and that you're satisfied with is yourself. Because when you're in the grave, you're going to be in the grave alone. You were birthed alone. You're going to go through a lot of your major life transformations and the biggest points of your life when you're alone. And that's just the reality of it. Like, that's how we grow as human beings. And because we're going to spend so long and so many hours and days and months and years alone, it's most important that you are the person that you make happy. Remember, it's your life, and like, even if somebody does give you their opinion on it, like, you have every right to do whatever the fuck you want. If it's like someone gives you your opinion, you have the right to just completely disregard it, not even listen to it, not retain anything that they said. Or you could follow it, which, I mean, unless you actually agree with it, I don't think it's the right thing to do, but you have the control to do whatever you want in your life, regardless of what someone has to say. Remember that. I'm gonna leave you with one more quote, fourth quote of the day. You're welcome. It goes, if I wouldn't invite them into my house, I shouldn't let them into my head. And I feel like that needs no explaining. All right, guys, here's where I'm gonna sign off. I hope that you enjoyed all my tips. I feel like a lot of these tips really help put things into perspective for me, so I hope it did the same for you. If I could say one final thing, it's okay. Don't trip. It doesn't really matter. Honestly, like, we live on a floating rock. You see that TikTok where it's like, so what, or whatever, and then it like zooms out from Earth and then it just zooms all the way out. Like, we're literally on a floating rock. Like it really doesn't like really matter that much. So just don't even worry about it. It's okay. Like, we're good. We're good. I hope these tips were helpful in putting things into perspective and helping you give less fucks. It's like 2023. It's the year to be unbothered as fuck. I know that I've become pretty unbothered over the years, to be honest. So, and I think it's just a good place to be. Why be bothered by everything? I have so many other things in my life going on than to be bothered by what people are saying, and I think you should too. If you liked this video, please leave a thumbs up and let me know. If you want me to talk about anything else, leave a comment down below, because I would love to do more talking videos. I love talking, obviously. And make sure you subscribe. I know a lot of you guys aren't subscribed. I could see it, so make sure you subscribe, because then you're gonna come back and see more of me, and like, why wouldn't you want to see more of me? Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you guys in my next video.